So, welcome, Lisa, to Raw and Cooked Vegan.
Great to be here. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah. So we have addressed a lot of these things. We'll do a brief summary. Up until your 20s, you were raised in a kind of standard American diet scenario with a lot of Italian influence in the diet. Relatively good physical health, perhaps a little bit underweight to some degree. Mm-hmm. And then in your 20s, you read a book that kind of opened your eyes, and the title of that book again was?
Diet for a Small Planet. I don't remember the author.
I think it's a female author, isn't it?
Honestly, I don't remember.
Okay, but yeah, that's a classic, I think. And and so you tried after reading that to become you were vegetarian for periods off and on for this.
Off and on throughout my 20s, 30s, yeah.
Okay, great. And then you described this experience, which I want you to tell us again in full. So there was an aha moment where you decided firmly to go full-on vegetarian, and tell that to the viewers again, if you would.
Okay, so my mom and dad died back-to-back. My dad in 2008, my mom in 2009. And after that, I was cleaning out their house and in the basement cleaning out the freezer. And I noticed it was packed, I mean, top to bottom, side to side, front to back, meat. The whole freezer. It was used, my dad was a cook, and he would use the meat for his Italian spaghetti sauce. And, you know, that was his thing. He loved it. It was his passion, was cooking. And they just didn't know. But I started to think about it because my dad died at the age of 73, and my mom at 71, which by today's standards is just too young. Yeah. I mean, we should be living to be 91, 93. They shouldn't have had to die that young. So I started to put the connection together, and not that that was the total reason for their deaths, but I think it was a contributing factor.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you had mentioned a little bit about, I think you had something like 6 or 7 relatives die from cancer.
5 aunts from different forms of cancer, and my grandfather from colon cancer. So then if you add that with my parents, that's 8 people in my family from different forms of cancer.
Yeah, and as we said, you know, one of the emphasis of T. Colin Campbell's work was the relationship of animal foods to cancer. So so a direct health issue there. But I think, too, you had mentioned something earlier when we first started talking, which I think is important. For you, this is primarily an ethical issue in terms of the animals.
Well, I do a lot of animal work, advocacy, rescue, legislative work. So when I got involved with that, I learned about the slaughter. I mean, I think everybody should watch Earthlings.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've watched it, but
I can't watch it.
It's, I tell you, you know, Forks Over Knives is a great introductory for people who are not too familiar with the plant-based diet and the benefits of it. Yeah. Food Inc. and some others are fine. But really, if you view Earthlings, and I literally had to watch it like 5 minutes and then like take a break, go to the bathroom, come back, watch another 5 or 10 minutes. That was a very difficult film to watch. But like Gary Yourofsky says, I'm sure I have his quote right here. And I agree with this. If it's good enough for your plate, then it should be good enough for your eyes to see. Yeah. So I believe in that. You know, there's so many people that say, I don't want to see it. But once you see that and you experience the depth of suffering that animals have to endure, billions of animals, the slaughter of them, the murder of them, just to satisfy our taste buds, that really doesn't sit right with me. So that's my number one reason. Of course, I'm vegan for health reasons, but the animal rights, the animal ethics behind all of this is paramount for me.
Yeah. I like that. And I think I don't really know of any argument that can be made against that. People may say that they feel healthier on a paleo-oriented diet, or they may give reasons why they feel they need to eat meat. but those reasons never really counter this principle that you've got this ethical issue. The only thing that comes close is having people lovingly raise animals until the time that they kill them, which in itself would be a rare thing. You know, because I think it's like, is it 90% of the food that comes from the animal industry is from commercial animal industry. It's not.
I don't know the percentage, but so much of meat and animal products is from factory farming.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, there's no, and I live in an agricultural, rural area. I don't know of an old-fashioned butcher here. And I wouldn't be in favor of that, but that's certainly better than factory farming.
Right.
But I don't even know of one where I live, and I'm in a pretty agricultural area.
Yeah, yeah.
So the butcher is kind of a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
All
there's
right.
a few around, I'm sure, but.
Yeah, and I know there's kind of a local food movement, and perhaps some gourmet restaurants are trying to have, you know, organic, what they would call free range or grass fed and this sort of thing. I mean, all of which I think there are arguments against. But I would like you're saying, I agree that is better than this commercial raising of animals and commercial slaughter of animals. And even there's a lot of people where I live that are hunting. These folks are taught to hunt from very.
We have it here.
Yeah. So from young ages, they're taught that's the way to go, and the boys grow up. It's a big part of their culture. Really hard to break into that. Although, you know, it's interesting. I got this guy. He's going to do some work on the windows in our house, and he's been hunting all his life. He eats primarily venison. Mm-hmm. Just had 2 stents put in his heart, so you're not going to avoid the health issues eating venison.
No.
So
it's so sad because so many people just don't have the information.
Yeah. All right, so many things we can talk about. When you made this final decision, I'm definitely going vegetarian. Can you tell us a little bit about? Was there any difficulty implementing that? Did you learn some things as you went full-on vegetarian? Or since you've been kind of playing with it for 10 years, you pretty much knew how to do it?
The vegetarian really wasn't hard for me.
Yeah.
The last food that was difficult to give up because it has casomorphines in it, which are addictive, was the cheese.
Yeah.
You know, the advertising, the power of cheese. You know, the dairy industry, they were slick. They knew the population of people that craved and were addicted to cheese, and they targeted their marketing around that whole addiction. Wow. So that was the last piece for me, was the cheese.
Yeah, and same here. We talked about that. It took us both a while to get to the vegan stage. I think too, you know, it's not all the whole let's say progression of diet in the United States and the way that vested interests like the Dairy Council and Cattlemen's Association, this is something that kind of evolved slowly over time. And I do think, you know, that there were a lot of farmers and well-intentioned people, and it just got it came around to the point where money started driving it rather than just providing a food product for the populace, you know. So, but I think it has gotten so out of hand, and just seeing how difficult it is to even get studies, you know, like vegan studies. It's like these industries have so much money to, and this will be interesting to hear your take on you talked about affecting the legality of this issue. So are you doing it that at the state level?
Well, the legislative work that I'm involved with is really, it's a little bit different. It's but in the same regard, it's connected to agriculture, because where I live, the off-season crop are puppy mills. Puppies are considered to be the off-season crop. So the big thing I'm involved with now here in Pennsylvania is Pennsylvania dog law legislation to try to get people to not contribute to puppy mills, which is basically not going to pet stores to buy dogs because no legitimate breeder will ever sell their dogs to a pet store. So if you go to a pet store, you're actually supporting the puppy mill industry.
Mm. And
so my legislative work is with primarily here with dogs. Got
you. And briefly, since we're here, tell us some of the problems with buying puppies at these stores. What does this lead to?
Okay, so if you go into your pet store and everything looks nice and clean, that's not really the real story. The real story is where that cute puppy came from. It came from a puppy mill where the crates are wire and they're stacked on top of each other, sometimes in barns. The dogs don't get any kind of care. They don't ever even see sunlight. They're just impregnated for, they're viewed as a commodity, and they produce puppies, which then are sold to pet stores. The puppy mill person is hidden. You don't see that ugly sight when you go into the nice pet store where it's clean and they have the cute puppies. You buy your dog, you might say, oh, is this a puppy mill dog? And they say, oh, no, we get our dogs from a reputable breeder. Well, that's not true. If you ever went to a puppy mill site and saw the real deal, you would never go into a pet store and buy a dog.
Okay.
So,
and isn't a corollary to this that people could very easily be going down to the pound and getting animals that are going to be euthanized?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know how many millions of animals. I'd have to go research that again. How many millions of animals, millions and millions, cats and dogs and rabbits are euthanized every year in this country, from California to New York, all the way down to Florida. It's so sad because you can get any breed you want, any breed from a shelter.
Yeah, and this raises a whole other issue that interests me. I'm sure you've thought about this. In the United States and I guess Western countries where we have pets, we have such tremendous wealth, we're able to have pets and care for pets, while in other countries some people can't get enough food. What's your take on this? Because, of course, animal ethics are very important to me. I think it's kind of a baseline for human behavior to be conscious of the rights of sentient beings. Having said that, how do you balance this love for animals with also love for other human beings, and are they related? What's your take on all that?
Well, I think they're connected because if you really love every living thing, you're going to treat people with compassion and kindness and love, and you're going to treat all animals with kindness and compassion and love. You're not going to just say, okay, I love my cat, I love my dog, I love my bunny rabbit that I have here, I love my horse, but I don't love the cows enough to stop eating them. I don't love the pigs and the chickens. I just don't want to look at that. That's there for food. Man has always eaten animals. God wouldn't have put them on, the whole argument. People there's a disconnect between the domesticated pet and the farm animal that we're so accustomed to eating.
Right.
And all animals experience the same fear, the same happiness, the same emotions. In fact, pigs are more intelligent than dogs.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, the whole gestation crate thing where they're in this crate and they can't move. They're trying to get them banned. We're trying to get them banned. State by state, it's a slow process.
Yeah.
I just think if you're going to be compassionate and loving, it goes to all living beings, not just people.
Right.
Animals across the board.
Okay. And on this note, it might be good to hear what you've learned regarding pet food. So the pet food industry, I know, is kind of tied in with the commercial animal production industry. So can you maybe say a little bit about that, and then how can pet owners avoid participating in that?
Okay, so I'm just researching this now myself, but I'll tell you this is an unsettling fact, that in the state of California, dogs are being euthanized. I'll say killed because, euthanization is actually too kind a term.
Yeah.
They're being killed at these high kill shelters. And the shelters are making more money on a dead dog than on someone coming in and paying $85 to adopt the dog.
Now, how are they making money on a dead dog?
I tell you, this is a business. It's a big business in California. It's called the rendering process. And the rendering process takes the animals, all animals, cats, dogs, roadkill, livestock, horses, and they take them to a site. It's not nice to hear, but I'm going to say it. They put them through a grinding machine. And this then, the product of the animal coming out of the grinding machine, that rendering process, that animal, that dead animal, is being put into many, many products, household products, including cat food and dog food.
Do you mean they put these animals alive into a grinder?
No. They're killed, but when they're put in, it's not nice. When they're put in trash bags at the shelters.
Okay, right. Okay, right.
And then taken to the rendering plant.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Then they're put through the rendering process. After they're dead, they're ground up, and the ground up animals are then being put into our cat food and our dog food.
That is disgusting.
I need to research this more to find out what products exactly. There's a list of, I want to say at least 100 items that you and I could buy and not know. Through the rendering process, the decomposed dead animals, cats and dogs, domesticated pets, are actually being introduced into household products.
Yeah.
Isn't that sad?
It's horrifying. My friend Carlo was talking about this the other day, and a lot of things like glues and a lot of substances we use, we don't even realize that they've got animal products in them.
Yeah, glues from horses. Yeah.
So, horrifying.
Can I show you my shirt, Paul?
Yes, please. Yeah.
So, this is Viva La Vegan.
Uh-huh.
It's a vegan grocery store in California.
Okay.
There's two. One's in Santa Monica, but the largest one is in Rancho Cucamonga, California, which is kind of out from San Diego, about 2 hours. It's in the high desert.
Yeah.
It's the largest vegan grocery store in the world.
Cool.
Yeah. Now, check out the back, if you can read it.
All right, let's see here. It says intelligent plus compassionate equals vegan. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, this is and I like that you're saying that because this is my position. If you take an intelligent person and you lay before them the health, the ethical, and the environmental aspects of this, I don't see how an intelligent person cannot be vegan. I mean, you got to jump through some serious hoops to So I love that, intelligence plus compassion, and I would argue that compassion is an intelligent behavior. Compassion is an expression of intelligence.
That's a great point. I love that.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so you had this shift where you became vegan, and then years later you shifted. First vegetarian, and then years later vegan. And we touched a little bit on this. You said, despite the fact that you're primarily motivated for ethical reasons, you do have awareness of the environmental problems associated with animal production.
Absolutely.
So, and I think, I don't know if we got it in this clip, but tell a little bit about that. I know water usage is one, and if you're in California, that's very prominent right now.
That's a huge issue in California. Boy, they're experiencing a horrible drought, and the governor has just put restrictions on the water use. So this is going to become more and more of an issue. And I think people think when they're doing things like taking a shorter shower or turning the water off while they're brushing their teeth or not watering the lawn as much. Okay, so that's the tip of the iceberg. You and I know if you're really going to save water, you stop eating animal products because that's the largest water waster of all.
Yeah. And can you tell me this, since you're in California,
Well,
how much?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
But can I tell you what I witnessed the other day here?
What's that?
I was on my computer writing my blog for my website, and I
Okay.
was distracted because every 5 minutes a water truck would go past my house. There were 2 water trucks. One was blue, one was red. Every 5 minutes past my house, like clockwork.
Yep.
And I want to say this went on for 2, 3, 4 hours. So I finally got in my car and followed the water truck. Okay? The water truck was connecting to a farmer in the field his manure spreader.
Damn.
Okay? The manure spreader was using that manure spreader was spreading manure on a crop. More than likely, I can't say for certain, but I'm pretty sure it was cattle corn, which is grown here all over, fed to cattle to fatten them up so that we can slaughter them faster for more money. And I calculated if there's 5,000 or 6,000 gallons of water per truck, which is pretty accurate. With the truck going past my house every 5 minutes for 3 or 4 hours, that's a minimum of 300 to 400,000 gallons of water on one crop for cattle corn.
That's insane.
It was driving me nuts, and I was literally writing a blog about something, not about. Then I thought, well, there's my new blog right there because it's such a water waster.
Well, it's interesting. It's insane. It's insane. And I like the fact that you referenced this vegan grocery store in California. We need some more of this on the East Coast.
Yes.
And so yeah. Now, do you have kind of a local movement where you are, where you guys get fruits and vegetables locally? I guess in the summertime, of course.
Well, yeah, there's some places where you can get organically grown produce, but then you have to really watch where you get it because I'm going to go back to this issue with animals.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're going to a farmer that has the organic produce, but then for me, being ethical, is that farmer also in the off-season breeding puppies and contributing to the animal abuse of puppy mills? So it's really complicated here because I live in a rural area.
Yeah, that is a great point. And I think that's sometimes the way I feel. It's like, how can you participate in society and still be ethical? Because it's so filtered in these backhand ways that we don't see. It's virtually impossible. It's like impossible. But
I might find a great farmer who has the best produce in the world. It's organic, no pesticides. I know it's clean. I know it's healthy. But then I could be looking at veal crates, okay?
Yeah.
Or a dog tied to a chain that's being bred repeatedly for puppies. So now do I really want to pay that farmer for the organic produce when I know that they're committing animal abuse?
Yeah.
So for me, it's an ethical issue.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. All right.
It's difficult.
It is. I'm kind of jumping around. I apologize, but let me go back into the health area, and I want to ask you personal conclusions you've reached regarding a couple of nutrients. The first being B12.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I just recently had a blood panel done.
Okay.
I don't have one done often, and I have it right here. My blood work turned out beautiful. I'd love to compare my blood work to any meat eater and see what the results are of their blood work compared to mine. So B12 is always the big issue.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be above 211. Well, mine is 754.
Wow. Without supplementation?
Well, I have it here. I have a B12 supplement, but I'll be honest with you. I use it sporadic. I don't take it every day. I might take it 3-4 days a week.
Okay.
And it's 1,000 micrograms, so it's not a very high dose of a B12.
Is
so
that
my B12's fine.
Is that a sublingual methylcobalamin?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. All right. And then what's your take on vitamin D?
Okay, so that was the one area where I was low. One of the only areas where I was low. let me see here. Vitamin D, normal range is 30 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
I was 24. But let me say something. If that test would have been done in June or July, I would probably be in the normal range.
Yeah.
Because I really believe the best way you can get vitamin D is through sunlight. The supplements are fine, but it's never going to be what the natural sunlight is. So I do have vitamin D, especially since this blood work came back not looking great with the vitamin D. And I'm doing here, it's 5,000 IU.
Okay. Now,
yeah.
Let me
daily.
ask you.
This one I do take daily because I'm a little concerned about the vitamin D. But that'll come around. This is April. Come June, my vitamin D will be fine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're in Pennsylvania, so you know, and you've had a pretty harsh winter, so it makes sense you didn't get a whole lot of sun. Let me ask you though, on the vitamin D issue, am I right in understanding that the D is often derived from lanolin from sheep, and if it is that does that come from wool that is shorn off of a sheep, or does it come from skin of a slaughtered animal? How do they get that lanolin?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm being honest. I don't know the answer to that. I've just always made sure that I'm taking vitamin D that's plant derived. That's not from an animal.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and when the summer comes around, I won't even take it. I'll just get out in the sunlight.
Yeah.
Every day that I can, because I think it's great. The more sunshine, the better. Here's another thing I want to say. I don't believe that the sun causes skin cancer. I don't believe it at all.
Oh, I love it. Lisa.
Not at all.
I love it. And on that note, does that mean you do not slather yourself with...
No, I won't touch it.
Yeah.
In fact, if you want cancer, put some sunscreen lotion on your body.
Thank you.
That's a good way to
Thank
get
you.
it.
Yeah, that is a whole interesting thing. This kind of this kind of agreement between dermatologists and the industries that manufacture this stuff. I mean, the millions of dollars. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Now,
have
you seen any science on this? Because it'd be interesting to see if I'm sure. I have no doubt that vegans have better, lower or non-existent rates of skin cancer when compared to animal product eaters. But I wonder if there's some studies that have been done with people who don't use these lotions and these things that actually block all the pores.
Okay, so do you know Marcus Rothkranz?
No.
Okay, Marcus Rothkranz is a raw foodist. He's out, I want to say he's in Las Vegas.
Okay. And
he does YouTube videos. He has it's a short one. It's only 5 or 6 minutes long. Okay. And it's on sunlight.
All right.
And he speaks to this very issue of some research studies, and the women that did not get enough sunshine actually had higher rates of cancer than women who got sunshine. It also explains, I don't want to say it incorrectly, you can watch the video, that if you're not healthy, you're doing the standard American diet.
Right.
You're drinking alcohol, you're smoking, you're sedentary, you're not getting fresh air, all this, then the toxins are pushed to the surface of your skin because the liver can't filter it properly. Huh. When the toxins are pushed to the surface of the skin and you're in the sun, those toxins are then baked onto the skin.
Very interesting.
It's not about the sun. It's about all the toxic stuff trying to escape the body, then gets baked onto the skin, and then people say that the sun caused the cancer. No, the unhealthy lifestyle caused the cancer.
Thank you. And, of course, that's common sense. If you think about it, we evolved in the sun. We evolved in the sun without clothing.
Yes.
I mean, there of course, we have environmental issues that are affecting, the quality of the sun we get. But still, I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Now, watch Marcus Rothkranz, his 5-6 minute video on sunlight. It's really good.
Well, yeah, and since we're here, it might also be good to hear your take on deodorants and that sort of thing. All these things that kind of block the pores. What's your take on that?
Okay, so around the same time I went vegan with my food, I realized, okay, I don't want to put the chemicals in my body. So why would I continue, especially as, I don't want to make a sexist comment, that women getting their hair colored, makeup, perfume,
Right.
okay, why contribute to putting chemicals on your body when you're trying to eat organic food and get the chemicals out of your bloodstream through your food?
Right.
So I changed all my products, okay? Now my hair coloring it's called Organic Coloring System. It's plant-derived. There's no ammonia. There's no animal testing, so it's healthy. And
Fabulous.
same thing with any product I use, any cosmetic, well, I don't even use perfume. Any deodorant that I use doesn't have aluminum. Tom's seems to work for me. Tom's has a toothpaste that's natural.
Yep.
They have deodorant that's natural. It's a company, I think they're based in Maine. And you can find any product you want that is not animal tested, plant-based, vegan, cruelty-free. There's no excuse to not do it.
You know, I love this, Lisa, and what I like about what you're saying here too is that you're still participating in society like most women do. So, you know, while I applaud women who feel the need to live off the grid or go out into nature and only drink water and eat bananas, and if you can do that and you want to do that, go for it. But, you know, you still dye your hair, but you found a way to do it ethically, responsibly. You still perhaps use a little bit of cosmetics, probably a lot less than the average woman, but
I don't use much, but whatever I use, I know it's usually plant-based, and of course it has to have the little bunny on the package that says cruelty-free.
Great, yeah.
If I don't see that bunny, I don't use it.
Okay. All right, now here I'd like to go into, if you could, characterize for us if you noticed health consequences from the transitions you made. So at one point you became strictly vegetarian, and then eventually you became strictly vegan. And did you, through those two phases, notice health benefits or any changes or any difficulties that you ran into?
Okay, so first of all, like from a mental standpoint, the peace of mind knowing that I'm just doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, for my body, the best I can do, for the environment, not contributing to all the, you know, destruction of the environment. And then, of course, for me, I'm not contributing to any suffering and killing of animals.
You know,
so peace of mind.
That's a huge point because that affects physiology. So it's like, that's a really big point.
Yes.
That you feel good about yourself knowing that you're not participating in these activities, and that contributes to your health. But anyway, go ahead, yeah.
So that was a big thing for me. But then physically I noticed, okay, my weight dropped. Not that I was heavy, but, you know, that extra 10 pounds, that just melted away.
Yep,
without counting calories, without measuring food or looking at anything.
Was that going vegetarian or vegan? Or
through the whole thing.
Okay,
like
gotcha.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe 5 pounds going vegetarian, and maybe another 5, maybe even 15 pounds total going vegetarian and then going vegan. Weight loss, but then here's the big thing. Not just losing the weight, but maintaining it. Because anybody can lose weight. The hard part is maintaining it. So that was big. Weight loss, maintaining it without any effort, really.
Yeah, it wasn't a diet. It was a lifestyle shift, and which was entrenched. So it wasn't like you were going to go for 2 months, lose 30 pounds, and then go back to the way you're eating before. Yeah.
Yeah, this yo-yo dieting stuff.
Yeah.
It's really very unhealthy. So that was big. And then my BMI, my body mass index, which is the amount of body fat that you're carrying, of course, that lowered to a normal range. It wasn't real high, but now it's really normal.
Yeah.
It's maybe even just like on the low end of normal. And then here's a big one. My blood pressure, which used to kind of be sporadic and sometimes go high, normalized beautifully.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
So lots of things moving in the right direction.
That's interesting. And I would wager, tell me if this is true, in the days when you were kind of doing vegan and then maybe sad, I would bet you were not a horrible eater anyway. I bet you've always had some health consciousness in the way you ate, right?
I always had some.
Yeah.
I never really did a lot of processed foods. I knew a long time ago that white flour and refined sugar were really bad.
Yeah.
I knew that probably when I was about 30.
Yeah, so
I really learned to ditch the sugar and the flour. If it's white, the whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead. I knew that. So I had already done that long before I did the vegetarian vegan thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So very good. Now let's see. One thing we thought we might explore a little bit is if you could tell, the viewers, you're trained as a psychologist.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about some of maybe the studies you've come across, maybe personal experience, what you've observed in terms of the way nutrition affects mental health, and also I think you had another issue you were going to address. Was it women with dieting issues, that sort of thing? But go ahead and just elaborate on any connections you see between diet and psychology.
Okay, so this is huge. I could talk a long time about it, but basically what I think is people are using lots of things to medicate themselves so that they don't have to deal with their feelings, their emotions. Mm-hmm. So it could be food, it could be alcohol, it could be nicotine, it could be sex addiction, it could be shopping, gambling, but food is a big one, and I think it goes, I don't want to say unnoticed, but there's not a lot of emphasis put on it because it's acceptable. Of course, drug use is not acceptable, but food, you can go into the grocery store, buy whatever you want, bring home the most unhealthy foods, and, it's not illegal. And people use comfort foods to medicate their pain. So if they're feeling something that's not comfortable, they'll eat something, a comfort food, and then they'll push the emotions down. Yeah. And then they never really get to deal with the issue at hand because they keep medicating themselves. And as soon as they start to feel some kind of pain in their life and the feelings start to come up, they don't deal with it. They put some more food in their mouth and they numb themselves, basically with food.
Right. Yeah, this is fascinating. And maybe you probably know more about this than I do, but it seems that there's an intimate relationship between the endocrine system and psychology, and that the diet has a significant effect on the endocrine system. So if you don't get this right, you're likely to be subject to all kinds of mental, what would you say, mental aberrations. I know, yes. like with hypoglycemia, right? You can get totally funky, weird, emotional roller coaster ride, with hypoglycemia. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think for women, a real big issue is hormones. Big issues I see are hormones, thyroid, and adrenal.
Yeah.
There's others, but those to me are three biggies. The adrenal fatigue, excess cortisol in your body, because if you're stressed for too long a period of time, that's going to have a real detrimental effect on the adrenals. Thyroid imbalances, hormonal imbalances, particularly with women reaching menopause. So all kinds of issues, and food can really exacerbate things that are already there.
Absolutely. And has everything you've seen and experienced indicated to you that the plant-based diet is superior in this respect to the animal-based diet?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I don't have research. I'm just saying from people I've spoken with myself, I know that this absolutely helps things move in the right direction.
Now, a whole topic that interests me, you referenced there, was kind of women's health. And did you have any personal experience in terms of, say, ovulation or menses that were affected beneficially by going vegan?
Okay, so it's a hard one, Paul.
Okay.
Because here's the dilemma. I don't know what caused what. I'm at the age now, I don't mind saying it, where I'm menopausal.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
It's hard to say. Did my age contribute to, I no longer have a monthly flow. So is it my age or is it the vegan diet?
Okay.
I don't know. It could be a little both.
Okay.
But I really believe that women still ovulate but have either no flow or a very, very light flow the more clean they eat. They also have less PMS.
Yeah.
And less cramping. All the symptoms that women hate so much really improve with a vegan diet and a raw vegan diet, I have to say.
Yeah, right.
The cleaner you get, the better that all gets.
Yeah. I love this thing Pam Popper said, which was they become a non-issue.
Yes.
For vegans, it's a non-issue, which is huge. I mean, because it's a huge issue for conventional eaters.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the medication, the loss of time, the suffering is just astronomical.
Yeah, so if you figure when a girl starts menstruating, which today is at around age 14, 15, 16, all the way until her late 40s, early to mid-50s, you know, it really varies with women. Some women go through menopause in their early to mid-40s. Some women not until their early to mid-50s. But that's a long part of your life to not be feeling really, really good.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
So, the diet has great implications for improving your whole menstrual cycle, cramping, PMS, all of that.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, you mentioned your husband earlier. Was he on the vegetarian-vegan road with you? Did you influence him? Is he still a meat eater? How has that?
Okay, so my husband is Chinese.
Okay.
And he came over from Vietnam, so he was a refugee from Vietnam. So his culture is Vietnamese, Chinese. It's a combination of both.
Okay.
And he has really changed. He's not completely vegetarian or vegan, but he uses less and less animal products all the time.
Right.
Occasionally he'll eat seafood or fish, and that's pretty much it.
Well, you know, I really like this, Lisa, because it shows you're human, you're vegan, and you're living with someone who's not, and you're making it work. It's possible to make it work. It's not as though you have you had to get divorced because you became vegan. So
no. In fact, Paul, he is my biggest supporter.
That's great.
And he researches, his profession is not at all in nutrition, but when he comes home in the evening, he loves to do several things. One thing is he loves to watch videos. There's a doctor in California, Dr. Fink, Professor Fink.
Okay.
And he does a lot of work with, I think, medical students, training them on all the physiology, biology. My husband loves learning about nutrition.
Okay.
He also has a passion for food prep. So he often says he'd love to be a chef. So
cool.
He likes this whole nutrition thing, and he learns as much as he can, and he doesn't discredit anything I'm doing. He actually the opposite. He's really my biggest cheerleader. That's great.
Yeah. Have you learned a little bit of Chinese or Vietnamese or?
Well, okay. So this much I know. I know the difference between when his family is speaking Vietnamese versus when they're speaking Chinese. I know the difference, and I can pick up on the topic if I watch the nonverbal.
Gotcha.
But no, unfortunately, those languages they're pretty hard to learn.
Oh man, that's got to be very difficult. Yeah. All right. So let's see. So much we've covered. Are there any tips general broad tips you might give someone who's first considering taking on a vegan lifestyle? Are there some ways that you think will make it easier for them?
Well, I'd start slow. I mean, there are people that jump in and do it overnight. I don't think that's the best. I think transitioning is probably easier mentally, psychologically, and physically.
Yeah.
I always say to people, get on YouTube. What can't you learn on YouTube? Put in the YouTube search bar, vegan diet.
Yeah.
And watch some videos and really educate yourself on why this is beneficial. Because if you learn why it's beneficial, you're going to be much more motivated to go down that road.
Yeah.
until you get the information, information's power, then I think you can get the motivation and have some real good foundation to get started.
Yeah,
So I think some books, some research on the computer, on the web is really helpful.
Are there? You mentioned several videos that are good for people to watch. Any books you'd recommend in terms of vegan diet?
Well, for people that are doing cooked vegan, I like Joel Fuhrman's work. Yep. I like the Eat to Live book, some of his other books, Super Immunity. I mean, he has some great recipes for people that want to do both cooked and raw.
Yeah.
And they're not really difficult recipes. And once again, you can get online. I love Dara Dubonnet. I watch her videos because, you know, she's wonderful. She has the knowledge, but she has the expertise to actually show people how to prepare this and make this in their homes and, you know, make it accessible to people who are just everyday people. And, you know, I'm not a chef. So I want to see, I'm a visual person. I want to see how to prepare this food.
Yeah, I love her energy. There's a lot of compassion comes through from her. It's really
great person.
Really beautiful. Yeah. All right. And then it might be interesting if you could share with the viewers. I know there are several groups that you're associated with in terms of animal rights. Could you list those groups?
Okay, so not that I agree with everything that they do, okay, because no one's perfect, but I do work with HSUS, Humane Society United States.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay? They're doing a lot of good things to try to get legislation changed so that the animal cruelty is lessened in states across the country. Now, they're not perfect, okay? They've been under some criticism for doing some things, and that's kind of complicated. I won't get into that. But overall, I think they're really trying to improve things. So that's a good organization. You can volunteer with them. You can get on, again, the computer HSUS and find out how to volunteer. You can go to your local shelter and volunteer to help out.
Yep.
With animal issues. Now, the other thing, I have some friends that do work with animals, and some of that is through Facebook. I have a friend, Tammy Bellato Ames in Chicago. She's probably saved, I'm not exaggerating, a good 500 to 1,000 dogs per year.
Wow.
There's a way you can network animals on Facebook. And through networking, a lot of animals get pulled out of high kill shelters and their lives are saved. And legislation. We need people to work on legislation. I have a woman that I'm friends with in New Jersey, Janice Patterson Fisher, has just gotten some legislation, key legislation passed, and we're always looking for people to help out with legislation.
Fantastic.
So there's so many things. I don't even know where to start. I mean, if somebody was interested, they could contact me, and I would say, please, jump in. We need your help.
Beautiful, beautiful. You reminded me of my friend Ed Muzica, who he is out in California, and he's been feeding feral cats for years. And actually, I think they try to get them fixed when they're able to gather them up.
Yeah, trap, neuter, release.
Yeah, exactly. What's your take on the feral cat issue?
Well, I think it's great. We need people to do the TNR, the trap, neuter, release.
Yeah.
There's an overpopulation of cats and dogs, and that's why there's so many in shelters. I mean, everybody should do two things. Spay and neuter their pet, whether it be a cat, a dog. You know, spay and neuter your pet, and adopt, do not shop.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, is there any other topic you want to discuss or anything else you want to add?
Okay, I have some notes. Let me see if we missed anything.
Okay.
Water, I have to say, water is big. I think water, sleep, proper rest, sunshine, exercise every day.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just the food.
Yeah.
The food is key, but really getting healthy is the whole picture. It's food, it's rest, it's socializing, it's laughing, it's being spiritually centered, however that is. It's exercising, fresh air, sunlight. if you're doing just the food and you're not doing the rest, you're still not. You got to get the whole picture. So
I like that. Yeah. Do you drink a lot of water every day? Do you try to reach a certain number of glasses? Or?
Okay, I've never been a water drinker, and I actually have to try every day to get to 64 ounces. Some days I do, some days I don't.
Okay.
So some people love water. I have to kind of push myself.
Yeah, I've never been able to really do it, and I would probably feel better if I did. It's just, I don't know, I just can't.
Okay, so you're not a big water drinker either.
No.
It's a good thing to do, but I have to push myself to do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, Lisa, it's a real pleasure, and very inspiring all the work you're doing. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's great talking to you finally face to face.
I know. It's been a long time coming, but it's really been fun.
And I wish you luck with your mom too, with the caretaking.
Yeah. Maybe we will sometime do a video. Yeah, because
if you want to, let me know.
Yeah, that would be great. All right. So thanks, Lisa. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. See ya.
All right. Take care.
You too.